11.4, area of the lesson, I will be able to, by the end of the lesson, I will be able to find the area of triangles. There is no vocabulary because we know what the base and the height is. Remember that the height is that dashed line typically through the middle of our shape, and it's indicated, and it is a right angle with the base. So remember that when you're finding the height, that it has to be, that it has to be the same or the right angle to the base. So there are two ways to write the formula for the area of a triangle. And this first way of area and the half of base times height. So you're going to multiply the base times the height, just like you did with parallelograms, except now you have to cut it in half. And the reason for that is because I can draw a rectangle around this triangle, and half of that rectangle is the triangle, right? If I shade in this part, this free space, right, that's the same as this part of the triangle. If I shade in this space, that's the same as this part of the triangle. So if you know that, right, you can remember that the parallelogram or the rectangle or the square, the base times the height, and then the triangle is half of that shape. And it's the half every time. So the area is the parallelogram, but then you have to take half of that. So base times height divided by 2. An easier way, because I just said base times height divided by 2, the easier way is to write down this formula, base times height divided by 2. The first formula means the same thing, but it's easier to remember because I have to take the area of the parallelogram and divide it in half because it's only a triangle. So base times height divided by 2. Here's our first example. Our base and our height. Our height is indicated to be at a right angle to the base. So my height is h, and it's 8, and my base is 10. So area equals base times height divided by 2. The base of my triangle is 10, and the height is 8. Notice that I put parentheses around the 10. You could have put the parentheses around the 8, or you also could have said 10 times 8. All three of those things mean multiplication. And then you're going to divide by 2. So the 3 steps that you need to have, you need to write your formula with 10 times 8 divided by 2. You need to multiply the top. And then you're going to divide by 2, and I get 40. Make sure that you have your units. So I have centimeters. And because it's area, and I'm taking 2 things and multiplying them together, the base and the height, I need to have centimeters squared. So area equals 40 centimeters squared. Second example, our height is 4.5. Our base is 8. And I rewrote 4.5. I need to label that, my height. The formula for a triangle is base times height divided by 2. My base is 8. My height is 4.5. And I'm going to divide that by 2. So 8 times 4.5 is going to be 36. And if I divide 36 by 2, my area is going to be 18. My units are miles squared. Your third example, my height is 4.7 and my base is 2. My formula, A equals base times height divided by 2. My base is 2 and my height is 4.7. Then I'm going to divide that by 2. So 4.7 times 2 is 9.4. Divided by 2 is going to give me 4.7. Also, a quick, my units, yards squared. A quick trick, if you have a 2 on top and a 2 on bottom in your fraction, they actually cancel out because 2 over 2 equals 1. and 1 times 4.7 gives me 4.7. So there is a cheat way. If you have a 2 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator, the third number is going to actually be your answer. The last example, this one is very tricky, and you might say that the base is 11, but remember our rule about the height. The height of the shape makes a 90-degree angle with the base. So my 90-degree angle is saying that this is the base of my shape. So 16 yards is actually the base, not 11. So you have to make sure that you're paying attention to where that squared sign is. So really, your triangle should look like this if you wanted your base on the bottom. So my 16 is going to be my base, and 6 is going to be my height. So the area formula is base times height divided by 2. My base is 16. My height is 6. I'm going to divide this by 2. So 16 times 6 is going to give me 96. If I divide that by 2, I get area equals 48 yards squared. .5 area of trapezoids. By the end of the lesson, I will be able to find the area of trapezoids. A trapezoid is a four-sided flat shape with a straight side that has one pair of opposite sides being parallel. So there is on the screen a trapezoid and an isosceles trapezoid. All you need to know is that both of them are trapezoids and they use the same formula. The formula for finding the area of a trapezoid is A plus B divided by 2 times H. And the A, you can also write it this way, but A is the top and B is the bottom. H represents the height. So you can write it A plus B divided by 2 times H, or you can write top plus bottom divided by 2. And then you're going to multiply all of that times the height. So the area of the trapezoid. All right, we are going to do 5 examples. So the first example, I'm going to write top plus bottom divided by 2 and then times the height. So the top is 1.5 inches plus the bottom, which is 3.3 inches. I'm going to divide that by 2, and the height is 2.9. So I substituted everything in. I'm going to do the top of my fraction first. So I am going to add together 1.5 plus 3.3, and that equals 4.8. And then I'm going to rewrite everything else. You have to show your work on these, or else I'm not going to give you credit. So then 4.8 divided by 2 is 2.4 times 2.9, and the area is going to be 6.96 inches squared. The second example, top plus the bottom divided by 2 times the height. The top is 0.6, the bottom is 2, we're going to divide it by 2, and then we're going to multiply it by, let's write the height in there of 2. So 0.6 plus 2 is going to give us 2.6 divided by 2 times 2. 2.6 divided by 2 is 1.3 times 2, and the area is going to equal 2.6 inches squared. Number 3, the top is 1.4 plus the bottom is 4 I'm going to divide that by 2, and we're going to multiply by the height of 3. So 1.4 plus 4 is 5.4 divided by 2 times 3. 5.4 divided by 2 is 2.7 times 3. And the area is going to equal 8.1 because 2.7 times 3 equals 8.1. My units are inches, and I'm talking about area, so I need my inches squared. Whoops, I went too fast. Number 4 of our examples, but this is number 5 on the screen. So this trapezoid looks like it's upside down, so it really doesn't matter which we use for the top and which we use for the bottom. So I'm going to use 2.9, which is the top, plus 1.3. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to times it by the height of 0.9. So 2.9 plus 1.3 is 4.2. This is 0.9. 4.2 divided by 2 is 2.1. We're going to multiply it by 0.9. And our area is going to equal 1.89 centimeters squared. What I would like you to do on this next one is try this one by yourself and make sure that you get this answer right here. So this is the answer. Try it by yourself, see if you get the answer. If you get the answer, then that's great. Tomorrow I'll be looking for your work on this problem. So make sure that you show your work on this problem and make sure that you get 179.4 as your answer.